All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to talk about the invisible architecture that, honestly, is starting to run our world. We're going to look at these quiet, powerful systems that are shaping everything from what you see on your phone to the actual weather above your head. So let's get into it. And this quote, it really nails what we're getting at here. The idea is that the most powerful forces changing our world aren't the big, loud headlines we see every day. Nope, they're the invisible operations running in the background. We're talking about the code, the models, the quiet little tweaks that are piece by piece re-engineering our reality. Okay, so to kick things off, let's start with the most obvious, the most visible layer of power, a single person. An influencer. Specifically, we're looking at iShowSpeed's recent tour across Africa, which, kind of by accident, gave us this incredible real-time map of the continent's real cultural borders. And to really get what happened here, you have to understand the scale we're talking about. This isn't just a few fans. It's an audience of over 50 million followers. The attention this one person can pull is so immense, it can cause reactions that, years of careful diplomacy or journalism could only dream of. It's pure power, with basically zero infrastructure. But here's where it gets fascinating. The reception was not the same everywhere. In places like Ghana and Nigeria, he was met with this absolutely explosive, celebratory energy. Young crowds just swarmed him. It was described as joyful chaos. The vibe was emotional, almost devotional, like people were seeing something they'd been waiting for. But then he goes to North Africa, and the whole dynamic just shifts completely. In Algeria and Morocco, the reaction was fractured. It was critical. The online conversation was all about public behavior and a perceived lack of cultural respect. That same energy, it just did not translate at all. And you know what? This whole messy, unscripted tour revealed a simple but super profound truth that so many polished documentaries miss. The borders in Africa aren't just lines on a map. They are deep, deeply felt cultural and social divides. Africa responded, and in doing so, it showed us just how incredibly diverse it really is. So, this isn't just about one creator. It's a sign of a massive shift happening all over the world. I mean, look at this. Recent surveys show that content creator is now a top career goal for Gen Z, beating out jobs like doctor or lawyer. The message is pretty clear. You don't need a degree or permission from some big institution anymore. All you need is attention. But that brings up a really important question, right? All this attention, what's channeling it? What's the invisible architecture that guides where all those eyeballs go? Well, let's peel back the next layer and look at the guiding hand that shapes everything we see, the algorithm. So think about it. When you're scrolling through your feed, how much of that is actually your choice? It really feels like freedom, doesn't it? Just this endless river of stuff that you're picking. But are you really in the driver's seat? Well, if you look at the data, the story is completely different. According to Google's own research on YouTube, over 70% of the time you spend watching is driven by their recommendation algorithm. You're not searching for most of it. The system is deciding what to serve you next. And here's the real disconnect. Most of us believe we're the ones actively choosing what we see. But the reality, for a lot of these platforms, is that over 80% of what shows up in your feed was placed there by a system. The guidance is so smooth, so seamless, that it feels like your own free will. It's a powerful, powerful illusion of choice. And you have to remember, the algorithm, it's not some wise editor trying to give you a balanced perspective on the world. It has one job, and one job only: engagement. To keep you hooked. And what keeps us hooked? Familiarity, emotion, things we already agree with. Its goal is not to expand your world, but to reinforce the one you're already in. All right, let's go even deeper now, down to the technology that powers the whole feed, artificial intelligence. We hear all the time about the amazing breakthroughs, but sometimes the most important moments are when AI fails. And I'm not talking about the loud, obvious screw-ups. I'm talking about the ones that fail quietly, but very, very convincingly. So to really get this, we need to talk about something called a black box AI. What is that? Well, it's basically a system that's so complex, even the engineers who built it can't fully explain how it got to a specific answer. It just spits out a conclusion with all the confidence in the world, but it can't show its work. And that's why things like accountability start to get really fuzzy. A lot of us hope AI will get rid of human bias, but it doesn't. Not really. It just scales it. It makes it more efficient. See, human bias is usually messy, it's visible, and you can call it out. But algorithmic bias, it's all cleaned up, sanitized, and hidden inside millions of lines of code. It feels objective, which makes it so much harder to even spot, let alone challenge. And look, we're not just talking about some goofy AI image with 6 fingers on a hand. When a black box system gets it wrong in these areas, we're talking medical advice, loan applications, who gets hired. The consequences are devastatingly real. And the system doesn't raise a flag and say, hey, I might be wrong here. It just keeps going, confidently making a mistake that nobody catches. And this is where it all leads. We're going to our final and most profound layer. Because the same logic of quiet, systemic, invisible control is now being applied on a planetary scale. We're graduating from controlling a social media feed to trying to control the climate itself. Okay, so this might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but I promise you it's not. It's happening right now. According to the World Meteorological Organization, more than 50 countries already have active programs to intentionally modify their local weather. This isn't a theory, it's established policy. I mean, just look at some of these examples. China has the biggest program on Earth, the UAE has been doing cloud seeding for years to try and make it rain, and parts of the US and Europe have used these technologies for a long time to fight things like droughts and hailstorms. They're not creating weather from nothing. They're trying to nudge the odds in an existing system. But, and this is a huge but, we have to draw a really clear line here. What they're doing now is one thing. That's weather modification. Geoengineering, though, that's a whole different ballgame. We're talking about deliberate, large-scale interventions to alter the entire global climate system, like trying to manage how much sunlight hits the planet. The potential consequences are, well, they're massive and unpredictable. And that's the heart of the problem, isn't it? The technology is just sprinting ahead. We now have the power to potentially change our planet's climate, but we have no global agreement, no rules, no framework for deciding how or even if that power should ever be used. The capability is here, but the conversation is lagging way, way behind. Okay, so let's zoom out and pull this all together. We've gone on a pretty wild journey here, from a simple social media feed all the way to messing with the atmosphere. And the one thread that connects all of it is this rise of quiet operational power. Remember where we started, with the super visible power of an influencer. Then we went one layer deeper, to the guided power of the feed. Then deeper still, to the deciding power of the code running it all. And finally, to the operational power to alter the planet itself. Each layer gets less visible, more systemic, and way more consequential. Which brings us to the final, and maybe most important question. As more and more of our world is run by these invisible, automated, and often unaccountable systems, our job to question them becomes that much bigger. So the real question isn't about the tech, it's about us. Because progress without scrutiny, that isn't progress at all. It's just drift.